Hey guys, Pyre here. So we're going to be talking about D.Va post-patch and about her changes that she's received since the new patch and what's different about her and what you should notice about her when you are playing her. Now, before this, D.Va wasn't really a hero that you picked or a tank hero that you picked in Overwatch, and you didn't really see people playing her or people that liked her or in fact people that were good with her, other than a select few like myself that included as being good DVA players or people who knew how to use her. Now, a lot of people would attribute this as being that she was underappreciated, she was underpowered, she couldn't really do a lot as a tank, she didn't do a lot of damage, etc., etc. Well, Blizzard heard their cries and decided to boost her one of her certain abilities and tweak other things. Now, the main thing that they boosted for her was her ability to absorb more damage. I don't necessarily think this is what people or the majority of the player base intended. I think most players wanted Blizzard to improve the damage she made, the damage she put out, excuse me. And I think this wouldn't have been a good idea because they've experimented with it, they experimented with it by themselves, and they didn't think it was a good idea. So they instead chose to redo her defensive matrix, which I think was a pretty good idea. Before the patch, her defensive matrix was a fire and forget ability. So what this means is that when you turned it on, it stayed on until you turned it off, and regardless of how long you used it, you'd get the same amount of cooldown, which was around 8 seconds. So if you use it for 1 second, you turn it on, you get an 8-second cooldown. If you used it for the entirety of that could last, you still get an 8-second cooldown. So you were left on a disadvantage that whenever you're fighting people when you're fighting an enemy player, they'd wait for you to use the defensive matrix, stop shooting at you, it went down, and then they shoot you, and you had no way to absorb damage other than losing your own health. And there was even a worse case, especially if you're fighting multiple heroes. Now, with her new defense matrix and how it works, you can effectively keep her defense matrix up for indefinitely, especially once you master and you start using it. So in the clips you can see that when I turn it on, there's a bar to the right of my reticle that shows how much of it I have left. So if you use it for 1 second, it's going to fill up really quick because you only use it for that amount of time. If you use it for half the amount of time, it would go back up. But you can still use the amount that you have. So that basically means that if you time it right and if you use it in spurts and short periods of time, you effectively have it the majority of the time, that being said, you can still use it for longer periods in time and still have it ready on the go. Obviously, you can't shoot your primary rotating shotguns with it, but that is a compromise that you have to will and sacrifice you have to willing to make. Now, what this does to D.Va is make her tankier. Now you might be thinking, oh, what the hell are you talking about? She's a tank already. She's already supposed to take absorb damage. Well, before the patch, she really didn't do this. Other than the small amount of damage she absorbed with her defense matrix, people would wait and then just dish out a massive amount of damage to you and your teammates as your defense matrix was down. And Blizzard noticed this, and they wanted to make her stronger and make her be able to absorb more damage, because that's what Blizzard wants the majority of the tanks in this game to be doing, to be absorbing damage for your fellow team. And if D.Va effectively does that now better than a lot of other tanks in this game, other than Reinhardt, but she's very close to that because she can absorb a massive amount of damage and continuously absorb it for her and her teammates. Now, this necessarily doesn't make D.Va overpowered, it just makes her more useful to your team. It doesn't necessarily mean that she's unkillable, because I lose my mech suit a lot. I die a lot. I die at the normal rate that I did even beforehand, but this is coming from a person who used D.Va a lot and understood her more than the general person did. Now, her second ability or that was improved upon, or I guess you could say attribute that was improved upon, was that her ultimate's set off timer, which is that when she launches her suit in a direction or plays in a direction and it self-destructs, basically making her go nuclear, and it'll kill anybody that is within range regardless of what health they had. If they had a boost or a shield or Reinhardt covering them, they would survive. Well, beforehand it would take 4 seconds for that mech suit to go off. Now it takes 3 seconds for that mech suit to go off before it can start. It'll kill people. Now this doesn't make it overpowered. I don't really think this changes the game other than making her ultimate a little bit more viable, in the sense that you can still run away from it if you detect it in time, and if the person playing D.Va doesn't really launch it, you're not really gonna get killed by it, especially if you're in a good distance away and you can hide from it, because you can still hide from it in time and survive it. So they made it more to like help people get kills with her and make it more viable instead of people not using it when they have it. Now, these changes for D.Va make her a lot more usable, or a lot more feasible in most situations, especially attacking when you have to fight turrets and whatnot. And I talked about this more in the video on how to play D.Va, and it should stay relatively relevant to now, so I'll leave the link in the description to that video if you want to watch it again, or if you haven't watched it and you're watching this video for the first time. But other than that, D.Va hasn't really changed, in the sense that she is more tankier, she absorbs more damage, and in general I think her skill gap was increased because now you have to know when to turn it on, her defense matrix, when to use it, when not to kind of deplete it, and how to kind of maneuver against enemy players who want to kind of bait you into using it all the way. Kind of more of a chess match in between when you're fighting. It's like, when do I turn it on, when to turn it off, you know, let it reload, have it full charge, etc, etc. Same thing with her ultimate ability. Now you have a better chance of when to use it and catch people by surprise. So hey guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it, learned something a little bit more about D.Va and her post-patch improvements. Leave me a like, dislike, comment, subscribe, all the type of stuff down below, and hope you guys learn, like I said, learn something, and take care guys.